Good evening. Welcome to Family. We've got your back. Today we are celebrating our oldest's birthday, and so we thought we'd honor her by talking about parenting this week. Now, believe it or not, we know that we are not the perfect parents. Ask our children.
Don't ask our children.
No, but I did. I asked them what makes a good parent, what should parents not do. I asked them for some parenting tips. And the first thing that was almost immediate was don't be a hypocrite. And I was like, okay. So the famous do as I say, not as I do. And a coworker actually talked about that with me earlier in the month as well. So I thought, oh, let's lead off with that.
Yeah.
Now, the idea behind that can be good in that you recognize that what you're doing is not a good idea. That the things that you recognize as bringing negative consequences into your life or just are not how you want to live your life, or you do want to live your life that way and you just can't, but you don't want your kids doing that, or whatever the idea is. You recognize that it's not good for your children to do, and you don't want them doing it, even though you do. Now, it could be something you're trying to stop. It could be something that you just don't want to stop, that you are enjoying it, and you feel the need to continue doing it, even though you're not liking the consequences. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I mean, there's 1,000 reasons for do as I say, not as I do. But let's turn that around a little bit because, nobody's perfect. But, and your kids see that. And they recognize that what you're doing is bringing negative consequences. And when you say, well, I can do it, but you can't, that's just, they're like, hypocrite, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it too and suffer those same consequences. And so we kind of tweaked that a little bit into saying, I've made this choice and it is, it was a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. And I am sorry that it has brought these negative consequences. Learn from my mistake and don't do it. I am trying to stop. So please don't even start. And so that's kind of how the do as I say, not as I do can be turned around into a positive thing, and not a hypocritical thing, because you are recognizing that it is not something that you should be doing. So that's one tip that we've learned. The next one was kind of made me laugh. She said, don't tell your kids no. And then the next one was, it's okay to say no. And so I had to think about that for a minute because we had a conversation about it. And the one was, it was if you tell your kids, don't do that, without a why, it'll make them want to do it more. Like the forbidden is attractive.
Right.
And so the more you forbid without good reason in their minds, only makes them want to do it more. And so it is okay to say no, which our kids said, you shouldn't get everything you want or be able to do anything you want. But you should allow them the space to make mistakes and not be so dictatorial that they never learn how to make a choice for themselves. And so giving them options instead of just saying no is a better way to handle it. Yeah. Meaning, Mom, can I have milk? Well, sweetie, you can have water, or in this cup, or you can have water with a straw with ice. Or
I would say go ahead and have milk. It's like, what's wrong with the milk? If they were asking for
what's wrong with milk? Okay, you can have water, juice, or milk.
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah. It's, Mom, I want the purple cup, or I don't know, whatever is your issue that you're having that you have to say no to because, I don't know, whatever. Like creating tantrums in the store is a big one that I had to deal with and had to say no. And a lot of parents don't know how to handle tantrums. And so saying no is frightening to them. And also they want better for their kids than they had. And so they don't say no. They want to give their kids everything. And we are firm believers in not creating entitled children. If you just give them everything and they don't have to work for it. Yeah,
they'll never learn to appreciate it.
Exactly.
It's like, this is what we expect. And so when life gets harder, which will eventually get harder, they won't have any tools to cope with the disappointment that is naturally going to come with life.
Mm-hmm. Right. So saying no in reasonable matters, like saying no to everything all the time, that's not good either. But not giving in every time and creating a sense of entitlement is a worthwhile goal.
Yeah, you can see all these videos online of kids that are super, super young and they already have devices that they are addicted to at like 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, no, that's creating, that actually changes the chemical makeup of their brain.
Yeah.
And it's not a healthy thing for little kids to be addicted to anything. So do your best to be consistent in that area.
Have some restraints to everything, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Buying them a treat every time you go to the store, that's just not a wise option. So creating, to help prevent that sense of entitlement, have your kids work for what they want.
Yeah.
So if your kids want something, then okay, do you have the money for that? And have them work to pay for it. Do extra chores around the house. We also believe that every kid should have chores. You are a family, and you need to work together as a family to help the family succeed in whatever it is that you're going for, whether it's having a household run smoothly or a yard that you would like tidy, or whatever it is that you need to do as a family. Have the kids participate in some way to help that happen.
And the frustrating thing about that is that it does make your life 10 times harder.
Oh yes, it does.
Because they don't know how to do it.
Yes.
And so you have to put up with it, and then slowly train them. And as they get older, raise that requirement. If you don't raise the requirement, then they're going to end up, leaving socks on the floor their whole life.
Yeah, which is something our adult children still do. So even with having chores their whole lives, we don't know how to instill caring about cleanliness. I mean, I don't know how to make other people care. And so they may not care, but there need to be natural consequences to their disobedience.
And eventually they will appreciate the work ethic that they learned. And they will appreciate the skills that they have learned, whatever skills they have, because you heightened their requirement.
Yeah.
It makes your life easy for the next, 10 decades, or not 10 decades.
Oh, gosh.
I'm a math teacher. But for many decades, they'll figure things out, and it'll be good for them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're not perfect parents and we haven't figured everything out. So I suggest that, because I have been sick quite a bit, we pick just a few things that we felt were the most important in raising our children. And we were fairly consistent.
Yep.
In those things, those few things that we did. We attempted to be consistent in others, but we were very consistent in a few things. One of them was bedtime. We until last year, 8:30 was bedtime for their whole life. So our adult children were expected to be in their rooms by 8:30. Now
and truthfully, we didn't figure this part out until Esther was probably 6 or 7. And so we had...
No.
You don't think?
No.
It wasn't until...
It was probably after... it was probably 2006. So, okay, you're right. Probably 5.
Yeah.
When we moved...
Yeah.
When you got your first teaching job. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, 2006 is when we figured it out.
Poor sleepers for a very
Our
long
first
time.
3 did not sleep the first year of our lives, and they're all 2 years apart. So I did not sleep for years.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, nope, we're done. We're done. We're done with this.
Yep.
And so, yes, we did put them to bed at a specific time, but bedtime official routine happened when Esther started kindergarten, I guess.
Yeah.
And it survived until we had to start building this house.
And by then, the habit was there.
And the habit was there, yeah. So we started with 8 o'clock. We read.
Yep.
And as they aged, the books got more mature. But they were typically literature books. Narnia. We love Brandon Mull books. So past several years, those have been the books we've been reading. We read Map to Everywhere, things like that. They started with Magic Treehouse, so little chapter books, and they expanded to, and that
Long
instilled with
yeah.
most of our children a love of reading. And so we started with reading,
or at least stories,
or stories, yeah. Telling stories was but I you remember the first thing that happens to you in the day and the last thing. And so because Trent was gone and commuting for 9 years, so he was gone before they woke up in the morning. And so the only time that he would see them is right before bed, if he saw them at all that day, because he had responsibilities after work as well, and he was commuting about 3 hours. About an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half at night. And it was just so hard on us. And I wanted Daddy to be a part of their lives. So he was bedtime routine. Yay. And so he'd read to them, he'd sing to them, and we had other things that we did with them. And then they would be in their bed by 8:30.
Yep.
And turn out the light, and it's quiet time. And they learned to be excellent sleepers. And we finally got some sleep until we had another baby and then another one. But and then we just continued the bedtime tradition for them.
Yep.
But they got sleep, and they all did really well in school because they got sleep. And so sleep, we recommend you being consistent in.
Yeah.
And then pick no more than 2 other things to be incredibly consistent in, and that are
do those well.
Do those things well, because you're not going to be able to do everything well. No. But pick what is most important to you, and do it well. And any more than 3, and it's too overwhelming.
Yep.
But pick it 2, 3 things, and be good at that. And everything else will kind of fall into place if you teach them well.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And each family is different about what their priorities are, and so you just got to figure out what you feel would be best. And sometimes, parental preferences come into play about maybe you have a very active lifestyle, and so you want to do walks or around whatever, or something to involve the family, and that you can look forward to, and also that will train their brains to be better, to become better.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And the last thing I want to leave you with was something that almost broke my heart a little bit. In today's society, we all sit in the same room on our devices. So we are together, but we are not together. So when you're with your kids, put down your device and be with them, because that's one of the things our kids said when I said, give us some parenting tips. And he said, be with your kids. So anyway, so be there mentally and not just physically, but engage with them. Actually create a moment with them and connect as much as you possibly can with your kids, because they will remember that you cared about them. And that is, having your kids know that you care about them is more important than anything else that you do as a parent, is connecting with your kids in some way that is a positive, loving way.
About 6 or 7 years ago, something like that, you made those Angry Birds. And you remember this?
Oh, I made like stuffed animals,
Angry Birds.
But they were Angry Birds.
We had so much fun with those.
We hucked them at each other. I made pigs too. And it was supposed to, you set up the
So
pig and throw the Angry Bird at the pig.
So it was Angry Birds, but in real life.
They just hucked them at each other, and they had like indoor dodgeball.
So there are ways that if they already have some kind of
I can't
a hook to some kind of gaming system or whatever, you can use that with a little bit of creativity.
Well, and it's not that you actually have to do anything, but just let them know that you are present in their presence. Sorry, that was lame. But anyway, so just connect with your kids in some way and be with them. Even if you're just driving in the car, singing along to the songs, you're connecting with your kid.
Like a bridge over troubled water.
Okay, that's enough. Alrighty. So if you have any questions or topic ideas, or you'd like some advice or anything like that, feel free. That's what I'm trying to say. Feel free to email me at familywevegotyourback@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.